Welcome to our show. Join us as we escape the 9 to 5 and begin our journey as entrepreneurs. Hi, I'm Josiah and this is Kelly Nagel, and we're entrepreneurs in the last frontier, the great state of Alaska. We'll release a new podcast every Wednesday.
Hello, welcome back. Happy Wednesday.
It's Wednesday again.
It is Wednesday again. Welcome back. It is episode 6. Episode 6.
Wow.
Pretty incredible.
So that means we've been doing this about 6 weeks.
6 weeks. Wow.
How many times do you have to do something for it to become a habit? Isn't it like 7?
I've heard that number, and I've also heard like 14.
Okay, so
somewhere in between. We're not quite there.
We're getting there.
Almost.
All right.
So, question of the day. Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
Are you ready?
What's the question?
Would you want to be attacked by 2 full-grown tigers or be attacked by 70 house cats?
Oh, that's a strange question. 2 full-grown tigers.
Uh-huh.
Are they from... Where are the tigers from? Are they from the zoo? Or were they raised by Carol or Joe? Or are they from the wild?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Because I think that could make a difference. The circus cats.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Versus like wild. Okay.
Wild tigers? No.
No. You'd rather be attacked by 70 house cats.
I think so.
What? So would it change your mind if
they
were zoo
I don't
tigers?
know. I guess... Alright, so I guess there's 2 ways you could take this. 1, you got a chance of being shredded to death either way.
Yeah, you do.
2 tigers would probably end your life quicker.
Probably.
70 house cats.
Probably. Do you think physically 70 house cats could actually attack you all at once? I think at some point, there's only like half of them could be attacking you at once.
But if I'm going for survival and fighting back, I definitely have a better chance of fighting house cats, even if there's 70. Put some steel-toed boots on. Get some...
Yeah, if they're attacking you.
Get some Nike indoor soccer shoes.
Ooh. Those are pretty spiky.
You know, for punting.
For punting?
I'm going to go with the house cats.
That are attacking you.
Regardless of what kind of tigers. Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's reasonable. I think I'd sway that way too.
Could get like a laser pointer.
A laser pointer? Yeah, that actually might work.
Or, you know, any kind of like basic item you could swing to extend your reach. You could probably dispatch some cats.
Do you think
get a baseball bat?
That's true. But do you think that they would distract themselves and fight each other?
Well, the question says they're attacking you.
Right.
So I think we can assume that they're focused enough to attack. Right, but then they're going to start
fighting over you.
I
wonder too about the tigers. Would the tigers start doing that?
No, I mean,
because
I think with this question, you gotta assume that the creatures are focused and committed to attacking you. They're not gonna get distracted by themselves. 70 cats got together. 70 cats got together.
70 cats got together.
And they said, let's do this.
Okay, yeah.
And they formed a contract.
They did.
They made a plan. They went out to attack. 2 tigers got together, full grown, and did the same thing.
I feel like the house cats could still easily be distracted by each other.
Yeah, perhaps.
But definitely the laser pointer. That's a good one. You should just bring a laser pointer for the house cats.
Now, one thing I didn't calculate. Okay, how many lives does a cat have?
Oh my god.
So you have 70 cats times 9 lives. Okay, so that's 2,600?
I don't think no. Well, what's 7 times 9 is 63.
That's way off.
With a 0.
Poor math.
7?
630. Wow. Now you can probably assume some of these cats don't have 9 lives left. They might have used some of them.
This is true.
So maybe 2/3 of that number, maybe half that number. You gotta defeat.
That's the max.
You gotta defeat 400 cats.
Wow. That's a lot more cats.
I think a nice.
Would you like to have
aluminum
70 house cats attack you, but really 400 is what we're getting at.
Yeah, based off of some basic figures.
What about the number for tigers? Do they have 9 lives, or do they only have 3 lives?
No, they don't have 9 lives. They just have 1.
They just have 1.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Got it.
It's only like your standard like house cat that has 9 lives, or your stray or something like that. Not like like tigers are a type of cat, but
That's true.
They're different. They don't have 9 lives.
Okay, that makes sense. You've put the argument to rest.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you've made a valid point.
Yeah.
You still want to fight 400 cats, house cats.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm going with.
Okay, sounds good.
Final answer.
Final answer?
Yeah.
What about, okay, so reeling it back in. What did we cover last episode?
We're still talking about the cats? Oh,
no,
last
no.
episode? Yeah, so we talked about some finance stuff, right?
Yeah.
We walked through kind of the basics of budgeting for your personal finances.
More like the minimum. Like, what would you need minimum?
Well, yeah, how to look at how much money you need to live.
Right.
Minimum and live comfortably. And then breaking that down to how much money that means you need to earn per year, per month, per week, per day. With and without considering income tax. If that's interesting to you, check out the previous episode.
Yeah.
I think it was a good discussion. And then we also talked about some misconceptions in business, and we talked about a hot topic this year, especially with local and federal and state governments declaring emergencies, price gouging.
Right.
And we talked about what that actually means, what price gouging is, what it isn't. And I think most people don't quite understand what that word means, and they throw it around
for any scenario.
For other scenarios. Basically, when they see a price they don't like.
That's too high, typically.
And that's not necessarily the case. So check out the episode if you want to hear more about that. What are we talking about today? We're going to talk about some news, business news in Alaska, kind of economy related, really from a historical standpoint. We're going to talk about some business tips, some business recommendations, and then Kelly's going to finish it out with a local business we want to highlight and talk a little bit about what they do. Alaska News and History. November 17th, the year 1916, 104 years ago, a 40-man detachment of infantry soldiers from the U.S. Army came to take station in Anchorage.
That is cool.
104 years ago. That was well before Alaska became a state. It was just a territory, U.S. soil at that point. And why is that important from an economic business standpoint? Well, fast forward to today, there's no longer 40 soldiers here.
Yeah.
There's a very large Army Air Force base right in Anchorage, as well as many other stations throughout the state. That has a big impact on the economy because of real estate and soldiers and their families shopping in town. So really, you have almost a guaranteed turnover every 3 to 4 years.
That makes sense.
Military family comes to serve their time in Anchorage. They will buy a house. They will rent a house. They've got to do one of those two.
Right.
They got to live somewhere. So
even if it's on base. Yeah.
So for real estate, that's huge. And then you also have that turnover, they buy or rent that house, and then 3 or 4 years later, they're going to, if they own the property, they might keep it as an investment and rent it out in some way. Or they will sell it. Or if they rent, that lease is going to have to be filled again in 3 years. So constant turnover. And then you also have this significant portion of the population that has a guaranteed income. They're working for the government.
Right.
If the economy shuts down, if people start losing jobs, Anchorage has a decent amount of population that will always have a paycheck. Even when the government shuts down, military still gets paid.
This is very true.
So I think that's really important. And then also, I think all sorts of other aspects of the Anchorage economy is affected. Look at car dealerships. A lot of families, when they come up here, they don't necessarily bring 2 vehicles, even though they might need 2 vehicles. Or they might leave all their vehicles behind because they want to upgrade to something sturdier and better for the winters.
Right.
And so they'll buy vehicles here.
That's huge.
That might not be the case if you have someone moving from North Carolina to Virginia. They'll probably just keep their vehicles and drive. You don't really need to change anything.
Right. Versus up here, maybe they just don't even want to do something as simple as, even if it's a sturdy car, they don't want to put that many miles on it. Yeah. So they might get rid of it by selling it, or maybe just go, nope, we'll just park it somewhere.
And so maybe I've noticed, I think you've noticed as well, a lot of Alaskans and Anchorage residents are pro-military. And that, I think, is for 2 reasons. I think, one, they recognize the value of the military being here from a strategic standpoint.
Right.
As well as a economic standpoint.
Yeah.
And then 2, there's a lot of prior service military members like us, as well as retirees that choose to stay here because of the amazing things that Alaska has to offer.
Right.
So, it's kind of neat. 104 years ago.
Wow.
40 soldiers came.
That's pretty
now
crazy.
Look at it today.
Yeah.
Now look at it today.
Wow.
Okay.
Thousands.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is pretty interesting. Going off of that, not really on the same topic, but kind of, maybe a little bit. Organization. What would we recommend for people when they're starting something new, specifically in a business or maybe just in general? If you're starting something new, we would recommend organization. And why I say it kind of goes off the military topic you just talked about is that's huge. You have to be organized somewhat in the military. We can talk about how organized the military is or not. But most people, right, if we're going to start something new, recommend organization. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect. We're not recommending that. But if you're going to start, let's say you're selling a product, you don't want to start off with your maybe just selling a couple items a week or maybe a couple items even just a year. And then you want to up your sales and you go to like 1,000 items a year or 1,000 items a week or however you want to fluctuate up in size. You don't want to start being organized then. You want to start it beforehand. You want to maybe like a little bit of setup ahead of time as you're even just like starting out, because it's really hard to break those habits later. If you're in the habit of not being organized, it's just a haphazard mess. Or B, as you up the amount of sales you do or the amount of clients you serve, you end up wanting to what? Hire people. Well, if somebody comes on and you're not organized, not that they'll be turned away from help from being your employee or whatnot. It'll just make things harder. You gotta at some point be organized. So we have a few recommendations that we've learned from, or just in general, and we've heard from people. So big thing, files. So maybe you don't have very many files, physical paper files. But we would highly recommend, if you do, get organized. Can you tell me that story? You don't have to tell us the specifics. If you've walked into an office before and you were like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You don't tell us specifics, but just the gist.
So, to keep it vague, I'll say this is a HR related department in a large company. And I walked in to take care of some paperwork related to something I needed to get done.
Yeah.
And no issues with the employee that was helping me. She knew what she was doing. Mm-hmm. She was able to help me. She had a lot going on. I had to wait a little bit. She was pretty busy. But while I was waiting, I started to wonder how she got anything done. There were files everywhere. And I'm talking on her desk, stacked this high.
No, describe it for those who are just listening. Like a foot high?
Yeah, a foot high. Yeah. Stacks and stacks and stacks on her desk, okay? Oh, then on top of her desk, she had a little end table, kind of decorative.
Yeah.
Between two couches. Files stacked there. She had a conference table, larger than this table we're sitting at. Yeah. Probably about 8 or so feet by 4 feet. Covered in papers. You couldn't sit there to eat a snack if you wanted to. Papers everywhere. We're talking about a HR department. So I think it's safe to assume a decent number of those papers had personal information on them from employees.
Yeah.
So that's a problem. If you have sensitive paperwork, you definitely need to deal with that and store it in a even more organized manner,
right,
than your standard files.
Right.
And even in one corner of the office on the floor, there was some paperwork starting to stack up.
That's so bad.
It was bad. And so I don't know how, if she needed to, she could find the papers she needed.
Yeah.
And also, it was a little concerning that perhaps there were papers related to me somewhere in this mess.
Yeah.
And theoretically, they have personal information and they could disappear and no one would know.
Yeah. No idea.
And so I think a couple takeaways I got from that is, one, what was she doing with all those papers? Maybe they weren't papers she needed anymore. Mm-hmm. And they didn't need to be kept. She could have shredded them or thrown them away.
Right. Shredding, specifically shred papers that are sensitive and secure, especially with other people's information.
If it's a paper you don't need anymore.
Yeah.
Or it's a paper you don't need a hard copy of. Mm-hmm. Perhaps you can make a quick digital copy, store it on a hard drive somewhere. Then you can get rid of it, dispose of it properly. 2, if they're papers she needed to have on hand, she needed a file cabinet.
Yeah.
I don't remember if she had one in there at all. I know she had some drawers on her desk, but definitely not enough storage-related furniture for paperwork. Get a file cabinet.
Right.
They're not that expensive.
Right.
And get some file folders and that kind of stuff. And I try to be organized paperwork-wise. Even then, I have trouble finding stuff.
Right.
And I'm 1,000 times more organized than this office I was in. And then I think the third takeaway is, if you have sensitive information, employees, socials, addresses, names, or other sensitive business information, you want to keep that a little bit more secured than the others. So that could be put it in a locking file cabinet, or and something I've done for things that I deem are very important for the business, I got a locking fireproof safe. Mm-hmm. That's something else to consider. Catastrophic. If for some reason your office or your personal home or whatever else were to have an issue, flood, water, fire, flood and water, that's the same thing, huh? Maybe there's some documents that you need the original of, or you want to make sure are secured. So get a little fire safe. I picked one up that probably 1 foot by 1 foot. You know, it doesn't fit a ton. It's just for the really important stuff. And it wasn't too expensive. I think about $30 on Amazon. Maybe
that's not bad.
I'm pretty happy with it. Maybe I'll throw the link in the description if you're looking for something like that. I think that's great for personal paperwork too. Your social, your birth certificate, that kind of stuff. Really important to have in a locked, secured place, and then also I think fireproof.
Right.
It's
key what you mentioned before, that it's not so big that you can literally put anything in there. Because your point of like a box for keeping, like a specific secured box for keeping stuff away from fire, flood, that sort of thing, locked and secure, is not to stick everything in it. It's the point is to then be organized enough to go, okay, these are the most important things, either business related, right? Like these are the certain things that are super important. If something were to happen, this is what I have to have, or it can't go away. It can't just disappear in thin air or whatnot. So that's important. So part of all this is you have to start ahead of time. You can't wait till later, but there's hope even if you've waited till later. So like even in the case of this woman in HR, she probably needs to hire somebody or needs a couple other employees that come around her, and she's not very organized. We get it. I think there are places in our house, even personally, that like, okay, I'm not super organized in that regards, but take a day. Well, maybe in her case, a few days, but take at least one full day and just do it. Just that's what you focus on. Maybe you set aside I've even heard a couple other suggestions. Maybe it's a certain spot in your house or whatnot, or even in your business. Like you've just got this one junk drawer in your office and you're just like, oh my gosh, I just can't find anything, but I know stuff is in here and it's useful and helpful. Just take 15 minutes. And even if you don't get it completed, you spent 15 minutes on it. And then the next day, spend another 15 minutes. So either take a full day and just focus completely on it, or break it out and kind of organize. So staying organized with your files is huge if you have files. But then moving on from that, what you said, if you can keep it electronically, oh my goodness, that is the best way you can help yourself. So obviously there's certain scenarios where you have to keep a paper file, and we won't get into that, but there are scenarios where you need an actual physical hard copy of something. But maybe you could keep simple receipts for your taxes, and you can just take pictures of them or scan them in, because there's plenty of apps to do that as well, to scan in on your phone, to keep it organized even electronically. So to save it, so you don't have to have a physical copy, but you can go shred it, but you still have it. Because even receipts, right, they fade or whatnot. So you might need electronic.
If they're, thermal printed, which most receipts are. Right.
It might be better to even keep it electronically.
Won't last forever. Yeah.
But to be organized on your electronic files as well.
Oh yeah.
There are two types of people. Typically, I can categorize people in this way. You open up their computer. Okay. And it is covered in files and documents and whatnot on their home screen.
Okay, there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, you are that person. You are that person. I know a couple other people like that as well. Or you have people that like file within file within file. That's kind of my take on it. But you could have a mixture too. There might be somebody who might be a little bit. You might have a file on the home folder that within that file is everything. But a big suggestion, use your file folders, whether in physical documents or in electronic documents. Keep it in folders.
And name it something that you're going to recognize if you come back a year later.
Right. Not just file folder number 1. And then you physically have to go through that file every time. That's not the point of the file folder. It's to like help you like, okay, this is the, not just business stuff, right? Because then, okay, that's literally anything if you're in your business. But maybe it's like specific receipts, sale receipts. Maybe it's specific items you bought receipts. Maybe it's something you can go on from there. Categorize. Use those file folder systems. Either actually on your computer or online through like a Dropbox sort of scenario. Because there's plenty of those out there. We won't get into that. But you can even do that. then you can access those files anywhere. So maybe you need a little bit of both on a specific computer. So in case the internet goes down, you can still access it. But maybe you need it online so you can access it anywhere as well. That's a recommendation.
So you're kind of hitting on there also, back it up.
Yes.
If all your important files are on one computer,
yes.
and
We're on one hard drive.
We all know technology. Something could happen and you could drop it.
Or even something, what if a flood happened? What if you poured water on your computer? Or natural
disasters.
Yeah.
And I don't do a great job of this myself, but get a portable hard drive, have a routine for backing up your important information, and then store that hard drive in your fireproof safe. Mm-hmm. There we go.
Or even use the cloud system or whatnot, or Dropbox or whatever they're called.
Google Drive, Dropbox, there's a lot of options there.
There's plenty of options. Yep. A lot of free options too.
Yeah, most of those are pretty secure.
Right. Up to a certain, gigabyte or whatnot.
Yeah,
so, kind of just depends.
Okay, I think we've hit on the paperwork.
Files, paperwork, electronic. Not. Okay, so next one, your product. So obviously if you're a service industry, it's a little different. But if you have product, keep it organized. I have walked in, I'm sure you've walked into places where you've walked into a store that's selling, maybe you have a brick and mortar store where you're selling stuff and it is not organized. And you're like, oh my goodness. There are plenty of clothing stores I've walked in that are like that. So what do you like when you walk into a store? That you know exactly where an item is. You can find the size it's in. It's not like scattered throughout the store. Now, I will backtrack. Things like thrift shops or maybe more like a consignment sort of scenario. Obviously, you're not going to really get that as much. Maybe a category, kind of like women's pants, But maybe if you're selling a product, typically you're not selling used products, maybe. And you're selling the same style pant, the same style shirt, maybe the same style hat, the same style knitted bug that we talked about before.
There we go. Yep.
And you have them all grouped together. So maybe you don't have a brick and mortar store, so maybe a client's not actually coming in, but you need to have it organized for yourself as well. So if somebody puts a sale, if you get a sale and somebody puts an order in, you need to know where it is. You need to know how many you have left. So keep that organized as well. So whether that's electronically, you have that organized, like, okay, I only have 5 of these left. So I either A, need to go make more, or B, we're losing stock, and then put a notification out saying to your customers, hey, there's only 3 left. First come, first serve, or however you do whatever your store is like. You got to stay organized so and your clients know, and they're not waiting an extra 5 days for you to find the item to ship it to them if you're doing shipping. So it's that cycle. You got to stay organized with these things.
Yeah, I think an example of organizing your products. So we sell online. We don't have brick and mortar. Right. We don't have people coming in to look through our shelves. So it doesn't have to, I would argue it doesn't have to be quite as organized presentation wise.
Yeah, presentation wise.
A business like ours is going to have a different storage system from a brick and mortar store like Walmart.
Right.
If you went in the back of Walmart, that might be more like what a business like ours would look like. And some examples. We sell some things that are kind of, you would say, replenishables. We always get more of them in. We're always selling them. Right. So it's important to know your inventory so you know when you need to reorder to get more inventory.
Yeah.
Because if you run out of inventory and there's a gap, you're losing profits. Because those are items that could be selling, but you just didn't order more. And so you're missed opportunity. Right. Also, if you're selling one-off items, which we do a lot of.
What is that? Explain that a little.
You only have one quantity of a certain item, whether it's used, new, etc. You don't have 20 of the same item that you can sell to 20 different customers. You just have one. You have one and that's it. Once it's sold, it's gone. You probably won't be able to find another one. I recently was going through and organizing some of our inventory, and I found a few things. I was like, where did this come from?
Yeah.
Is this thing even listed on any of the marketplaces we use? And sure enough, I found a couple that weren't listed. They were sitting in our storage, taking up space with no chance of anyone buying them. Because honestly, our business owned them and we didn't even know it existed.
Yeah.
So how's someone going to buy that from us?
Right.
And so I think one takeaway from that is I don't think that's because our organization was bad. Mm-hmm. I think what happened is people make orders and then sometimes cancel it.
Right.
And you don't always go back, or the systems in place don't always work to put that item back in stock.
Right.
And then it slips through the cracks. Or you miscount the quantity. Or something just gets messed up with the listing and gets taken down.
Right.
And so if you, on a yearly or quarterly basis, go through your inventory, recount how much you have in stock, you can find extra products. Or save yourself from another scenario where you accidentally sell something that you don't have.
Yeah.
And, invest some time in that. And I used to kind of think, okay, so how do we make money selling products? Well, you really make the money when you purchase the item. Finding the item, finding a good price for the item, and then purchasing it. That's when you make the money. Mm-hmm. Everything that happens after is a result of that action. So I'm inclined to always spend time on finding more products.
Yeah.
Finding more products. The work on the back end, organizing your products, organizing your space, creating a productive workflow and environment saves you time over the course of your entire business that allows you to go and do the other stuff you need to do, sourcing more inventory. And it took me a while to kind of realize that. Like, okay, so I guess I'm kind of talking about organizing your workspace now in general.
Right.
Okay, so
right, that's a good one.
Every day, almost every day, 4 days a week or so, 3 days, 2 days, once a week, we're fulfilling orders to customers. That involves going and finding the item.
Right. Within your workspace.
That's sold
right.
in your storage area. Figuring out the best way to ship it. Since we live in kind of a unique environment,
right.
Alaska, shipping is a little more challenging. It's a little more expensive, and you have to be a little more creative with some of your options. And then packing, prepping, shipping, getting the label, etc. So if you have a streamlined workflow, you can get through that stuff you have to do in a much quicker fashion, which leaves you more time on after that's done to source more inventory, work on other stuff, or just take a break.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to figure that out.
What's your biggest recommendation? So I've been told this, whether it be like house items, keeping your home even organized, but especially with business stuff, to keep, even if it's on a small scale, like you're only doing a few products weekly or yearly even, or just a few, you're offering your services to only a few people, to keep it all in one space. Like you set aside this piece of furniture to hold all of your, product stuff, or maybe the stuff to create your product, or to keep one room set aside, or one portion of one room set aside. So how has that benefited you? Like I remember when we were first starting off, what was it? In our old place, we had an office that we shared. But then we eventually realized, as you were starting the businesses we have, that you needed more space. And so I moved my desk out and we found a different space for that. But you ended up realizing like, okay, so how did you figure out what worked best for you? Was it just trial and error? Did you read a book? Did you watch a video or whatnot? Or did you just kind of figure it out?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think a lot of it was trial and error. And then also I'm part of some different forums with some people who have similar businesses.
Okay.
And kind of got some takeaways for how they set up their office workspace. And the way we fulfill orders, we actually have probably nearly just as much shipping materials as we do inventory physically in our space. We have lots of inventory that we store elsewhere across the country using other different systems. But the shipping materials takes up an incredible amount of space, especially because you got to store bulk quantities of it because you save incredible amounts of money if you're to buy 1,000 boxes as opposed to 100 boxes at a time.
Yeah.
Your price per box is so much better. And we're going to use those boxes eventually. So let's go big, save money for the business. So I think the organization of the shipping and the workflow of that really saved the most time, made the biggest impact on the workspace. Having a dedicated space where all the materials you need are more or less within reach has been huge.
Yeah.
To go find the item, make a little stack of all the items that sold, take them to your workspace, and then from there you can do everything. I've got a computer set up where I can print the label. I've got a scale. I've got the boxes. I've got the tape. I've got other packing materials. And that has super streamlined it. What used to take, maybe a couple hours, I can now do in a fraction of that time. And having the right materials on hand also saves a lot of time.
Yes.
Having lots of different sizes of boxes.
Right.
If you have a box that perfectly fits the product, you don't have to put as much packing material.
Ooh,
which saves money on packing material and time on packing material.
Yeah.
A fraction of time every box.
So the more organized you are, even on the front end or back end, but specifically on the front end, actually saves you more time in the future. It saves you time in the after the fact as you've been organizing. So even if you have to invest like a half hour of your time to organize something or set it up a certain way, it could save you hours of time later. Because you're not just doing the same thing and running from room to room to try to, where's the tape again? Or, where's this?
If it saves you just 10 minutes a day because you're more organized and you don't have to go to the other room to print a label.
Yeah.
Imagine how much time that would save you.
Yeah.
If you just ship 10 things a day and each label you ship, you got to run to the other room.
Yeah.
10 minutes right there. 10 minutes over the course of a week. If you're just doing Monday to Friday, that's 50 minutes. That's almost an hour. That's almost 4 hours over the course of a month.
And so on and so forth.
And you do the math, over the course of a year, that's like 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
2 days.
Yeah.
And you can take that extra time and use it elsewhere.
Right.
For personal or for more business. And also, I think maybe this is straying off topic, but investing money in tools that will save you time and streamline your process is big.
Or even organization drawers or whatnot, or into a safe, a file cabinet safe or whatnot. It's okay to invest that money in there.
I think a lot of entrepreneurs and at least early business owners are like us. They're kind of pinching their pennies and reinvesting as much as you can back into the business. And so it's painful to buy a $100, $200 tool when you're like, I worked so hard to get that $200. I could take that $200 and reinvest it in this additional inventory that would become $600, et cetera, et cetera. But I think another way to look at it is I used to print labels using one type of printer, and it worked just fine. But it was tedious.
Yeah. It
was great if you just needed to print one label here and there. But at the quantity we do it now, it's becoming tedious, really difficult. And so invested in a new printer, which wasn't cheap.
Right.
All in probably over $200. And over the course of its life, if we use it long enough, it will save us money on stickers and ink.
Right.
That'll take a while. But more so, the time savings is huge. I noticed it immediately. It was painful to click buy and spend all that money, but the day I got it, that was an incredible decision.
We were like, this is saving hours. Like, we were able to print off, you were able to print off hundreds of labels like this.
Yeah.
Whereas before, it would take, triple, quadruple the time.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Yeah. So I think, maybe in a future video, we'll walk through our office workspace.
Yeah.
And talk about some of the lessons we've learned and why we set things up certain ways.
Yeah. That would be good.
Yeah.
What's, so I know we still struggle with this. We might not be able to get to the business tip we talked about, and that's okay because we'll talk about it next time. Because this is just going so well with the organization.
Okay.
But so going back to the electronic organization, email and social media sort of stuff. I know you don't really do a ton of social media, whatnot with the resale business, but with the email and other sort of electronic, maybe even if you did do social media, how do you handle the influx of replies to things you post, comments, email, the constant influx of, I don't know, people wanting to talk to you, which is great, but it's like, okay, I'm trying to sell and complete orders over here. How do I also respond to these people and get more clients, etc., even if they're not doing a resale business, if they're doing something else?
Yeah, that's not necessarily a problem I've run into yet, but I definitely can see that being an issue in our business someday in the future if we keep scaling. And initial thought, I want to talk about this in a future episode, delegation. Hiring employees to do the routine things that can be easily trained, that are kind of the same thing over and over and over again. So a great example of that is responding to emails, comments, questions, whatever it might be. You can easily hire and train someone to do that. And we've, for kind of similar tasks, we've hired a virtual assistant to help us with some of that. And if that's something you're interested in, look it up. I think you might be surprised at how affordable it can actually be.
Right.
It's not as expensive and investive as it can be. And one way to look at it, you got to value your personal time at a certain dollar number.
Yes.
Whether you value your time at $20 an hour, $30 an hour, $50, et cetera, et cetera. If you can hire someone to do that task that would take an hour for less than you value your time at, you should probably consider doing it.
Yeah, that you're able to reinvest that time, that you're not having to do that into the things that are going to make more money to pay for that person to do the said things.
Yeah, so
it's a cycle.
If you value your time at less than $20 an hour as a business owner, I don't know, maybe this is harsh, but you might want to rethink things.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of easy entry-level jobs where you could get close to that with less stress and less things to worry about. And you can definitely, absolutely hire virtual assistants for way less than $20 an hour.
Right. Oh, yeah.
In some cases, depending on where you get them from, less than $10. Because you're giving that individual the opportunity to work from home, which and usually on a flexible schedule. So
Yeah, we
not to draw this out, but it's I think that's a great way to help with those avenues. Hire someone,
right?
And doesn't think outside the box. Doesn't have to be a physical employee that comes to your house, comes to your business, it sits down on a computer for 5 hours a day.
Right.
No.
Yeah. Agreed.
Or you can hire people on a commission basis.
Yeah.
You get 5 cents for each comment you reply to. Shoot.
That would make them
that's
okay, I'll comment all the time.
risk to you, and then also gives them more incentive to work. I really like paying people based off of kind of a commission work reward. But,
it's a win-win for both people.
Yeah, but that's a bit off topic with organization.
I will have to add. So we've talked about this before with our email. I'm the type of person. There's two type of people with the emails that they can't have any unread, right? Like you might open the app and it might say there's like 1,000 emails that you haven't read or something. And yeah, that's me. That like leaves them as unread and whatever. I don't really care. And then other people are like, oh my gosh, they all have to be marked as unread or have to actually, whether I've actually read them or not, that sort of thing. But there is sometimes a huge influx of just like random emails that you just get. And sometimes it can like wash out those important emails. I use Gmail a lot, and I have appreciated Google. They have like separate tabs for like, your normal inbox, and then they have like the promotion tab, and then they have, I think it's like social media tab or something.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's kind of helpful. If you don't have Gmail, I would recommend it if that kind of helps you. But using the even like the star or the favorite, maybe you're flagging it, maybe in some different type of email companies, whatever, that they offer it. A flag, a star of like important things, and then like filter for only the starred items. That can be helpful. Going back through and maybe even setting up a setting where it says maybe you get orders that way, but sometimes they get like filtered in with like all your 1,000 other emails about randomness. That some of them might be important, but you don't see the order right away on your email list. So maybe setting up, again, taking the time to go ahead and set a filter up to have it go to a special inbox or be flagged immediately, or, get like, I don't know, 15 notifications. What's that? The Wolf. What was that from?
The Wolf?
The Wolf app. Woof. Or no, it's Woof.
Oh, Woof. Oh, okay. Talking about the Office TV series.
Yeah.
Woof.com.
Where, like, if you got, like, oh, I just needed to get in contact with you. And so it sends, like, one thing. And it's, like, you get an email, text, phone call. You get, like, a fax or something. And a ton of other things.
Yeah,
but it's kind of obnoxious and silly.
That reminds me of something. So one of the platforms in particular that we sell on, I get probably about 5 notifications for each sale. So I need to go in and change that because I don't need those.
Some of them it's like obnoxious.
I almost daily log into that platform to check those things.
Yeah.
So I don't need an email to tell me your item sold.
Right.
Your item sold. Get ready to ship it. They paid for it. It's time to ship it. And then, got the app on my phone, so I'll get a notification from there. It's not, and just like you said, it clogs up my inbox on, certain days. You look at my inbox and it's just pages and pages and pages of emails that I'm not going to open and look at because I know what they say.
Right.
And I don't need them.
Right.
And I probably have missed important emails.
Yeah. We have no idea. You have no idea because you're getting like bombarded.
I'm gonna write that down. I need to work on that myself.
So maybe for you specifically though, it is helpful. Like you don't want to physically log in to said like your website to see exactly, or your certain like selling program, that you don't want to log in every time to go check. That you do want an email notification for when you get a sale, so then to go look.
Yeah, I think
it kind of depends on you. So you just need to figure that out, though. Because just like us, like we're still learning, right, as we go.
Yeah, for me right now in this stage of the business, I have sales on that platform every day.
Right.
So I'm going to log in and check. But if it was a different platform where I only had, or at a smaller business where I only had a sale like once or twice a week, an email might be, really helpful to guarantee that I saw it and I'm not going to miss that sale and accidentally ship it late.
Yeah.
Or just blow it off because I don't care.
Yeah. And they cancel it and then it's like that cycle. But yeah, so that's huge. So maybe bog down your email, because I definitely have a problem with that too, just not reading emails. Not because I don't find them important, but sometimes only because it's just so bogged down. You're like, I can't, I'm not going to keep up with this. So get organized in your email, or snail mail, I guess, if you get a ton of those. Say, that's actually helpful though. Even in snail mail, maybe having kind of like your file folder system, having like, okay, this is the pile. Maybe you have a certain pile that you do go through eventually, maybe set aside once a week. You go through all of your inbox of snail mail and you get rid of stuff, and get rid of it, or take a picture of it to scan it in back into your file folder system, and then shred the rest that's not important. Like, stay organized. Don't let piles pile up, because eventually it'll become so overwhelming. You're going to go, oh my goodness, I don't know what to do. Let's see, what else? This is another last point on staying organized. Stay organized with your schedule. Stay organized with your schedule. So we have definitely been working on this and realizing how important this is. We've heard, you hear all the time how many different ways you can actually do that. So we're not going to go over that specifically, but we're just going to reiterate how important it is. However you figure out that's best for you, whether that's a specific, like, different appointment each day, a block schedule. There's plenty of videos on that. There's like a ton of other things. Like, you have a physical planner, you have your electronic planner, or both. You're going to have to figure that out for yourself, and there's plenty of videos on that. But that is huge, to stay organized with your schedule. Because if not, I've noticed for myself that I will spend so much time on said task or item or thing and not realize, like, it's been hours. And that said task or item or thing, whether that even just be something as simple as dishes, then I'm like, I just spent how long doing the dishes? I didn't even realize, even though that's super important. Yeah. So twofold with that. You either spend too much time on something really important and you don't realize that you're not being efficient with it. So going back to that organization there. Or you realize that you're not giving yourself too little time, but you're also giving yourself too much time to do said task. So that might be even something as simple as social media, even for personal use or specifically for your business. That can be huge, because that can help get clients in, whatnot. But you also need to realize you're going to have to tame it back too, because you can't spend all 9 hours of your day on social media, because then you won't be packaging your items to ship. You won't actually ship them, so on and so forth. So either you need to hire out, and so you can do social media, just that all the time, or you need to hire somebody to do the opposite, right? They just did the social media. Or don't hire anybody at all and just block the schedule out. Like, okay, I'm only going to allot 1 hour every day. This is the 1 hour I do it, and that's it. Done. Like, we're gone. Or a couple hours per week. And so you just allot, like, maybe one day. You like to sit down and just do all your social media stuff in one day. There's your 2 or 3 hour block. Done. Done with social media, walking away. So that you become more efficient at it too, because then you realize, like, I don't just have infinite time on said task. I only have, you have 30 minutes to do the dishes before I have to walk out the door. Okay, boom, we're going to get these dishes done. We're going to get the social media post done. We're going to set up the social media post for the rest of the week done. So that's huge. So it's not about being specific, and you got to give yourself grace with all these things for being organized as well, because we forget to do that. I know I do. I'm like, sometimes I get overwhelmed, and you just go, I just wish I was so much better at this schedule or being organized in this certain task, but I'm not. So what do I do? Right. I
think you're hitting on two things there: productivity and procrastination. Yeah. Productivity being your mind and motivation on a certain task is only efficient to a certain point.
Yes.
you can work on the same task for 3 hours,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not, and there's lots of studies and stuff about this, so you can go look it up and read more. You're not going to get as much work per hour done after that first hour.
Yes.
Maybe even after that first 30 minutes.
Yes.
You're most productive when it's that first initial burst of time. And a second, procrastination. If you're like me, I have a tendency to get my best work done most efficiently time-wise when I've got a deadline quickly approaching.
Yes.
So you can force yourself to work like that on a regular basis if you create deadlines for yourself. I gotta do this task. I gotta do all the shipping for today, and I only have 30 minutes to do it. You might be like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I can't ship this many items in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Give it a try. You might surprise yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So if you organize your time and create a deadline for yourself for different tasks, you'll probably be more efficient and get more done in less amount of time.
For sure. So stay organized. Do it ahead of time. But there's hope. If you're not organized right now and you are overwhelmed, just take a minute. Just take 15 minutes if that's all you have and start organizing that space or that drawer or that schedule or the whatever. All the things we already covered.
Yeah.
Take the time, even if you have to set aside a whole day and go, boop, we're stopping, freeze, like we're organizing. Or again, the 15-minute kind of block sort of setup. So we said we were going to get to a business tip and we were so excited about it, but this organization conversation just went so well. We'll have to hit it next time. So that's a little teaser, but we have a business tip for next time. Even though I guess organization was just a recommendation for anybody, not necessarily just business, but we focused it on business. So we're going to finish it out by covering what I guess I'll call like a business shout out. And we're going to cover a New Hope Compassionate Ministries. And there's New Hope in Anchorage. I will link their website down below. It's newhopeak.org. But so they offer a bunch of stuff and they're really amazing. We've helped volunteer for them. We've dropped off food with them, but they're really great. They have a food pantry that is currently now, cause like obviously weird schedules with businesses. So currently it is every Tuesday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. They have a food pantry. Before all the crazy, they offered, like, I think you could show up as early as like 9:30 or something like that. And you could hang out with people inside, but you're not able to do that right now. But their food pantry is focused on treating every client with compassion and dignity. They call you by name and share in you daily. They strive to have the best available food for you and your family every week. So they offer at the food pantry fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, soups, meat, milk and dairy, bread, and then they have a bunch of other stuff. I think currently right now they're offering like, I don't want to call it like a goodie bag, but they're offering like a goodie bag where they set up stuff. But check out their website if you want more information on that.
Is this a nonprofit, a grocery store? What are you talking about?
It's a nonprofit.
I lost me there.
New Hope Compassionate Ministries.
Okay.
So currently, obviously in Anchorage, they're obviously ministering to people in Anchorage. So it's a food pantry that's open again every Tuesday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And you can get all those types of food I already listed. They also offer a Christian fellowship every Saturday from 4:30 to 6. Now, this one, you might have to contact them about. But they normally have a Saturday worship gathering and meal. And it's open to everyone. You can enjoy a time of worship followed by a time of food and fellowship. Their meals are provided by volunteers from around the community. The focus of this ministry is on meeting the spiritual, social, and health needs of the homeless population around our center. However, we welcome everyone and anyone to join us. Our worship is upbeat and lively, our preaching is inspiring and relevant, and our meals are filled with love and conversation. Come and check us out this week. I'm not quite sure what they're exactly doing with, the rules and whatnot, but it's normally like a great fellowship time. It's really good. They offer cooking classes. They were offering them every Monday from 6:30 to 7:30, and they focused on healthy cooking that doesn't have to be difficult. You learn how to plan, shop for, and prepare tasty and healthy foods within a limited budget and time. Each participant that attends every class receives the tools necessary to accomplish what they have learned.
That's cool.
So, yeah, that's really cool. Again, don't know what they're doing right now specifically with, the ever-changing rules. But that's a really cool thing if you're interested in that. And this class, completely free and open to anyone. So if you're interested, go check them out. And then the last service they offer is Celebrate Recovery, which meets every Thursday from 7 to 9 p.m. It's a Christ-centered 12-step recovery program to celebrate recovery using the power of God's word to bring healing from emotional hurts, freedom from relational hang-ups, and victory over destructive habits. The Celebrate Recovery has helped people across the nation find freedom from life-controlling hurts, hang-ups, and habits. So I would highly recommend you check them out. If you are looking for a way to help specifically in Anchorage, you can volunteer your time. So you need to contact them. Obviously, you can't just show up for that right now. Contact them, and I'm sure there's plenty of ways you can help volunteer your time. You could drop off food. So they have food drop-offs Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And the items that they always need, but I would contact them every week just to get an updated list. But the items they need: canned fruit, canned vegetables, canned soups, ramen noodles or instant noodles, fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, and frozen meat. You can also give your money online. So again, check out the link below. And then you could also buy a t-shirt. So they actually have really cute t-shirts. They have a short sleeve option in like a men's size and a women's size. And then a long sleeve option, and a sweatshirt. So they're actually really cute. The design has like a pretty tree on it. And then it says help for today, hope for tomorrow. So it's really cute. It's really cute. So I would go check them out. Their current designs, I'll also link below. But if you're not in Anchorage, we would highly recommend, this is the week before Thanksgiving, we would highly recommend, this is perfect time to go donate money to your local food bank, to offer help at a homeless shelter, maybe even to offer your time on Thanksgiving Day to serve a meal. Now, I know you might be like, well, like, I don't want to like spread germs or whatnot. But even if you just have to order something or send money in for them to go get it, like the food themselves, if you don't feel comfortable dropping off food, or shop online, have it shipped to them, you'll have to set that up with your local food bank, because I'm not sure what their regulations are. But donate your money, donate your food, donate your time, and then buy an item even that they're selling. Maybe they're selling a t-shirt like this place, or maybe they're selling something else like a product. I would highly recommend that. It's a good time of year to do that. It's a great way to give back and be thankful for what we have and to give in our abundance. So would highly recommend. It's a good time of year for that. So.
Yeah. Cool. New Hope. All right. New
Hope Ministries.
Well, to wrap things up, we didn't talk about everything we planned about talking about, but we talked about kind of the history of when the military first came to Anchorage, how that has had a lasting impact on the economy, especially today. We talked about a lot of organization tips. Yeah, we really touched on that for quite a while, and then wrap things up with a little shout out for New Hope Ministries. So thanks for watching, and I promise next week, tune into that episode and you will find out the business tip.
Oh, it's a good one.
Yeah.
I was actually really excited about it. I'm really excited now.
Yeah. But anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week. Bye.